Hi there, good morning, and welcome to the Reflections 101 show with me, Akosia Deborah Quayson. Welcome to your favorite transformational online talk show that usually will bring you nuggets that we pick from lessons of everyday life and life's experiences to be able to help us all for effective living. I'm glad you've tuned in. I'm grateful that you've connected online. If you haven't yet, please do come around. If you've connected, please press the share button as well so others can get to connect because yes, we're having lots of fun on the show and there's lots to learn as well, right? So last week, we talked about something very important: modern day romance, and we got to appreciate some of the erroneous thoughts that and myths surrounding modern day romance and the concept of test driving yourself and making sure someone is a pro when it comes to the issue of sex in marriage and all before you delve or before you consummate or you give yourself out during the courting or dating period. But today, and I think we all enjoyed it, right? And today we're also going to look at something very important and something very unique. And I pray you for your time. I hope that you stick and stay to the end. It's going to be quite brief, but I mean, so worth your time. And so you just give me a minute whilst I unpack everything right here this morning. So on today's episode, which I have dubbed Woman Evolve, yet don't lose your place. Woman, evolve, yet don't you lose your place. You can also hashtag it maybe woman, evolve, don't revolve. Woman, evolve, don't revolve. And very soon we're going to appreciate why um in the midst of a lot of controversies on social media, that is the very point that I want to get to this morning, and something that has been pressing on me for the entire weekend. And so we'll be throwing the spotlight on the 21st century bougie, classy woman. So the 21st century woman who is hardworking, the 21st century woman who doesn't sit at home and is ready to work with her hands either via online platforms, does things virtually, or you do your 8 to 5, or maybe you do a locum. You're always on the move. So that kind of classy, bougie 21st century woman is who we're going to be talking about right here on the show this morning. Classy yet bougie. And this particular episode was fueled by a conversation with about three elite young women who kept talking about the issue of sex in marriage and all that, and how men of today would want ladies who are mother Theresa's in the home, mother Theresa's when they go outside and portray themselves as classy marriage materials. But then when they come into the room, or when they come into the issue of bed, they are like the Cardi B's of the time, and all the things that they can do. And yet, the point was so strong in elucidating the fact that sometimes the men do forget that women also have to work 8 to 5. The 21st century classic bougie woman would have to work 8 to 5 and would come home quite tired, would have to cater for kids, put things in order, and maybe do a little budgeting here and there, put some plans for the next day or the following week or whatever it is, plan the menu, try to get a list and a budget going with it, and do certain things which may take a lot of time. And so she may be a little tired and cannot be that Cardi B, that the man would want. But however, they strike a point, and I think the point really caught my attention. And the very thing that they said was that, for a 21st century woman, once you're out there going, once you are more resourceful, I mean, in these times, the roles can also twist. I mean, the responsibilities can change, and it makes or points to the roles as well in the home having to be redefined. And what am I talking about? They kept talking about the fact that, for a 21st century woman, once you're the one going out, coming home 8 to 5, 8 to 6, some of them hitting home at 9 p.m., and your husband comes back earlier. Maybe you are the one who brings home the bacon. You are the one who is currently the breadwinner of the home, sees to external family matters. Maybe, talk about whatever. If you have to cut a bus, fuel something, if you have to pay for the bills and everything, it's centered on you because you bring home more of the bacon. You are more resourceful. You have more of the connections. You have all the tactics that it takes. And so at the time, we can't afford to see the man as the head of the home. At that particular point, the woman, assumes the role of the head of the home. And I felt that this point is so critical that if we don't dissect it well, a lot of people will pick the concept that yes, indeed, if you're the one who is more resourceful and brings home the bacon, and think about it, a lot of women are more employed lately compared to their male counterparts, and so, i.e., your husband could be less employed or unemployed, or could be earning less, and you could have climbed the corporate ladder or academic ladder or whatever quite quickly. Or imagine that, in this COVID crisis, you happen to be an entrepreneur, an essential service provider. Maybe you're a trader, maybe you provide food, or maybe you sell something on the streets. Am I kind of making sense? And so, in the midst of COVID, and your husband's, shoe shop, or his business, which is tailoring, maybe people are not coming no more to purchase them things from the boutiques and everything, and so business has slowed a little for him. And so at the point, you are kind of the one making more money. Do I make sense? And maybe it could be that when the New Patriotic Party took over, your husband had to fall in the category of banks or bankers who lost their jobs because of the financial sector cleanup exercises that went on. Maybe your husband is a mobile money merchant agent or something of the sort, and at the point in time, his place was raided by robbers and something went wrong, and so he lost capital and his finances went poor, and at the time you were the one who was holding the fort. The season and the time has presented itself that certain people who are rich, they be but with silver spoon in their mouths, and they kind of marry people who are of a less social class than they are. At the time, imagine if Ken Pong or Despite Son had married someone with a low social class, or maybe the wife was on a high social pedestal than whoever that she had married. It just simply says that definitely the wife will be the one to have a lot of resources. She would definitely be the one to have a lot of connections, and she'll be the one to be able to help with the affairs of the home in a better placed position to offer those kind of help, to offer the bacon, to offer the money. But does it necessarily mean that at that point in time, that woman or that lady, that 21st century bougie, classy woman, becomes the head of the home? And my answer, and I know you've been thinking about it, and it's absolutely no. And I'm going to unpack it for you a little bit. And so stay tuned, don't go nowhere. Because, I want us to look at the concept of certain countries, right? Let's think about it. Have you ever thought of why certain countries have their men in skirts? There are certain countries like the Philippines or Scotland or Indonesia, or Fiji or any of those other countries that have some of their men national dress code, has to be a skirt. Have you ever thought about it? That their national dress code is simply a skirt, and whenever they wear it, The notion that is supposed to portray to their own kind of people is that, hey, this is a masculine figure right here. This is a man walking on the street. This is somebody capable, the one who provides protection and security for the home and for, the nation and the society at large. This is he that is walking on the streets. But when it comes to your social context or your cultural setting, you may picture it as out of the norm. You may picture it as, oh, this is all right. But it does not necessarily make the man in skirt a woman. Are you getting it? The fact that, you see a woman wearing trousers does not necessarily make the woman automatically a male. It just simply means that there's an identity that the person has picked. There's a certain responsibility that has been shouldered on the person's shoulders. And it does not necessarily identify you as or brand you as another person. Woman, evolve. So there are lots of things, there are lots of talk about the fact that, there's women empowerment, women, and I think that in this 21st century, classy bougie woman, we are more blessed than any other century because people are beginning to appreciate the role of the woman. They're beginning to appreciate the role of Eve in the life of Adam a lot more. And so we are becoming more accepted politically, socially, culturally. Our rights are being upheld and all that, but it doesn't necessarily take away the fact that you should be able to identify your role. You should be able to identify who you are and don't lose it. Don't lose it because most of the time we lose it, and that is exactly what happened in the Garden of Eden. I'm going to come to that in a bit. Now, I want us to also look at this, go away from the scenario of the men in other countries who wear skirts and look at the scenario of the animal kingdom. And when you look at the concept of the animal kingdom, the first thing that would come to you, as a king of the jungle, is the lion. And I know that a lot of motivational speeches and transformational quotes have been going around talking about the mentality of the lion, but never the lioness. Have you ever heard the lioness being portrayed as the queen of the jungle? The lion still remains the king of the jungle, though he never stays in the jungle. Now, where is the lioness when the lion is being paraded as the king of the jungle? And what does the lion actually do that makes him the king of the jungle? And what does the lioness do? Now, I bet you it will shock you to know that the lioness in the animal kingdom is the one who provides food. She's the one who goes out into the wild and hunts for prey. She's the one who goes out there to kill the prey and then brings it back to the cubs, for them to feed and even feed the king. So she is the one who has been, endowed with so much strength, and it is no different from human nature. And so we keep telling us that, and we keep, trying to conscientize the 21st woman, classy, bougie woman, that indeed you have so much on the inside of you. God has deposited so much, but it doesn't take you away from the position of being the supportive neck to the head. It doesn't mean that, the neck is inferior to the head. The lioness is fashioned in such a way that now when you look at even the physical structure, the lioness has an inbuilt strength to be able to hunt for prey, not because it has a lot of muscles. Muscles belong to the lion. But when it comes to the ability to run and catch a prey, it belongs to the lioness. She's believed to have about 45 mph horsepower, whereas the lion, as the male figure, has about 35 mph horsepower. The lioness. There's a speed factor that is able to help her to catch up with the prey and bring it home, bring the bacon home for the family to enjoy. The lioness. Somebody say the lioness. Now, maybe The lady has more connections. That's cool. But what does the lioness have that the man does not have, that the lion does not have, that enables it to be able to fend for the entire family, even with the lion? Do you know what the lion does? The lion actually rests under a shade. It is believed that the lion should rest about 20 hours a day. 20 hours a day. So out of 24, the lion only comes around to roar and scares away predators. And whenever that he sees that the lioness does not have the muscular ability, that muscle to be able to take on a prey or a predator or an enemy that is encroaching on their camp, he comes in and just with one shove. So there's a place for everybody in that particular domain, in that particular territory. And I just don't want you to miss it. Because I feel that Eve missed it. And sometimes maybe that's where we are today. Because Eve could have thought, I could also, be the one doing the influencing. I can be the one, providing the bacon, which is good. But the